The boy was the first to see her. He was chasing a chicken that wasn't his, barefoot and loud, till he stopped cold at the edge of the McAllen place. The wind didn't move, the sun didn't blink, and she was there, on her knees beside the old well, hands sunk wrist-deep into the cracked dirt like she was praying backwards. "Mama," the boy whispered, not to her, but to no one. He dropped the chicken. She was humming. No words, just the breath of a tune, soft and broken, like it didn't remember how it used to go. Her hair hung in ropes. There was blood on her palms and crusted along the edges of her teeth. She wasn't crying. That scared him most. He backed up slow, then ran. By the time the sheriff came, she hadn't moved. His boots scraped the earth louder than he meant them to. She didn't look at him. "You hurt?" She kept humming. "Ma'am." "Nothing." "Delora." His voice went flatter. "You hear me?" Still humming. Her mouth worked slow, like chewing something that didn't belong to her. The dirt around her knees was dark, uneven. He spotted the trail of fingernails before he realized what they were. He stepped back. "Get Doc Rayleigh and Clara," he muttered to the deputy behind him. "Now." They didn't try to pull her up. They let Clara kneel beside her first, touch her shoulder like she might crumble if handled too hard. Clara said her name 3 times. Then, "I found him," Delora said. Her voice cracked like dry branches. "I found him too late." "Who?" Clara asked. Delora's eyes were wet, but no tears fell. "He was in the well." "There's no one in that well, hun." She stared at Clara like she'd forgotten where they were. "He asked for water. I didn't bring none." The sheriff leaned forward. "You talking about Nathan?" "He knocked once, that's all, just once." Doc Rayleigh came and pressed his fingers to her wrist, his lips to a whisper. "Shock," he said. "She ain't bled. That's not her blood." "Then whose is it?" the sheriff asked. Delora opened her mouth like she might answer, but she only coughed. Dust puffed from her tongue. "She's been eatin' dirt," Doc said. They wrapped her in a coat. Clara held her hand the whole ride into town. The sheriff stayed behind, staring down the dry mouth of the well like it might spit something back. "Damn place should have been filled in," he muttered. Back in town, folks watched from porches and storefronts. The widow who hadn't spoken in years, now singing without words, her hands stained red, her mouth full of graveyard. "She lose her mind?" old Merle asked, wiping his hands on an apron that hadn't been cleaned since spring. "Mind ain't the thing she lost," someone else muttered. In the clinic, Delora sat on the paper-covered bed, eyes on the wall, as Doc cleaned the dirt from under her nails. She didn't flinch. "Did he talk to you?" Clara asked, softly, seated nearby. Delora nodded. "What did he say?" "He said not to come alone." Doc stopped scrubbing. "Who?" She turned to him slowly. "Nathan." "Ma'am, your husband passed 5 years back. Heart gave out in the barn. Sheriff found him slumped in the hay." Delora blinked. "Then why'd I hear him calling?" Doc looked to Clara. Clara didn't look back. "What were you doing out there, Delora?" Clara tried again. "I kept hearing the hymn, same one he used to hum when he thought I was asleep. Only it was coming from the ground. At first I thought I was just remembering, but then it got louder." Clara's throat tightened. "And the blood." Delora's face hardened. "Not mine." She stood before they could stop her. "I need to go back." "You're not going anywhere till you've rested," Doc said. "He's still down there. He didn't mean to die. He was calling." Clara stepped in her way. "That well's dry. Has been for decades." Delora didn't blink. "Not last night." The sheriff came by an hour later. He watched her through the clinic glass before stepping in. "Tell me what you saw." "I didn't see," Delora said. "I heard." "What?" "Him." The sheriff rubbed his neck. "Look, Delora, I need to know what happened to the farmhand. Jimmy Skelt. He was last seen walking near your land." Her jaw twitched. "His mother's asking." Delora looked past him, past the walls. "He used to sing the hymn too, only faster, like he didn't know what it meant." "What does it mean?" Delora smiled, faint and strange. "It means it don't belong to the living." The sheriff stepped back, unsettled. "You remember hurting anyone?" "No." "Then whose blood was it?" She looked at her palms. "His, maybe, or someone else's." "That's not an answer." "It's the only one I have." That night, she refused to sleep indoors. Clara left a blanket on the porch, but Dolores sat by the steps, staring at the sky like it owed her something. At midnight, she began to hum again, the same tune, slower, clearer, the same tune they heard when they pulled Nathan from the hay. His lips parted, dirt in his nails, blood at his neck like something had climbed inside him before his heart gave out. Dolores stopped humming. She pressed her hand to her throat. "Not yet," she whispered. "Not till they know." From the edge of town, the well sat silent. But no one slept. Not really. Not that night. Not after that. She came walking down the center of the road like it still belonged to her. Barefoot, hair wet, a spade slung over her shoulder like a rifle. No one said a word at first. The air went strange. A dog whimpered under a bench. A screen door creaked shut like it didn't want to watch. The sheriff stood on the porch of the station. He saw her coming from 100 yards out. Didn't move. Didn't blink. Dolores stopped just short of the steps. He nodded once. "Morning." She looked past him. "It's not. You headed somewhere?" "I was already there." "What's the spade for?" She rested it on the wood rail. "In case they start moving." He narrowed his eyes. "They?" She didn't answer, just looked at his boots like they might tell her something he couldn't. He shifted. "You looking for someone?" "I already found him." "Who?" Her mouth twitched. "Doesn't matter now." He crossed his arms. "That true?" She nodded. "You gonna stop me?" He looked at her hands. Dry now. Cracked. Still red at the cuticles. "No," he said. She walked past him. He didn't turn around. Mrs. Tanner's came out of the bakery just as Delora passed. Flour on her apron. Fear in her throat. "Ma'am," she said. "Can I ask—" Delora kept walking. Mrs. Tanner's followed. "Have you seen Jimmy Skelt? He never came home Sunday night." "Why would I?" "Well, he was headed toward your place." Delora stopped, turned. "That a question or an accusation?" "I'm just worried." "So was he." "Is he alive?" Delora looked toward the church bell. It hadn't rung in weeks. "If you find him," she said, "tell him to stop singing." Mrs. Tanner swallowed. "What do you mean?" Delora's voice dropped. "Don't dig what you can't carry." Then she kept walking. At the diner, the windows fogged with whispers. Was that the same spade? Sure looked like it. She's not right in the head. You say that like she ever was. She used to teach piano. Till her sister died. No one proved that boy did anything. No one proved he didn't. She should have moved away. She should have burned the place down. Delora sat at the back booth and ordered black coffee. The waitress didn't speak, just poured and backed away. She didn't drink it. She stared at her reflection in the spoon for 7 straight minutes, then laid the spade across the booth like a sleeping dog. The sheriff came in 20 minutes later, sat across from her, didn't ask. "You following me?" she said. "Small town. You ever find Jimmy?" "Not yet." "You dig?" "Only where I'm allowed." "You afraid of what you'll find?" He looked tired. "I already know what I'll find, just not who put it there." She leaned in. "You know whose land that well's on." He nodded. "You know who dug it?" "Your father." "You know who buried the first body in it?" He didn't speak. She sat back. "Then why ask me questions you already answered?" He rubbed his jaw. "It's not that simple." "It is." "You're not the only one with grief." "No," she said. "I'm just the only one still carrying it." A silence fell between them, heavy, personal. Finally, he said, "You gonna keep digging?" "Yes." "You think that's gonna help?" She looked at the spade. "Number, I think it's gonna hurt." He stood, left a quarter for the coffee. "Don't go starting fires you can't put out." She didn't look up. Too late. Later, as dusk painted the town in dust and orange, Delora stood at the edge of the schoolhouse yard. Children's chalk drawings still littered the old cracked wall, stick figures, suns, crooked names. She found her sisters there, small, misspelled. She sat down and traced it with her thumb. "Miss Delora." A small voice behind her. She turned. A girl, thin, pale, holding a tin lunchbox tight to her chest. "Yes? Are you the one who sings near the well?" Delora blinked. "Did someone tell you that?" "I heard it. It was sad." "Good. Was it for someone?" Delora nodded. "A man." "Is he lost?" "No," Delora said. "He just doesn't know he's dead yet." The girl looked confused. Delora stood. "Don't ever follow a sound you can't see the mouth of." The girl nodded like she understood, even if she didn't. Back on her land, the spade went into the dirt like it already knew where to dig. She worked past sundown. No lantern, no gloves. She hit something hard by the third hole. She didn't flinch, just pulled out a boot. Worn, familiar, still wet. Inside it, a foot, pale and soft. She didn't cry. She just hummed, low, slow. The hymn again. From the well, something knocked once, just once. She kept digging, and the sheriff, watching from the ridge, did nothing. His hands stayed in his pockets. His eyes stayed on the spade. His mouth stayed shut. He looked the other way. The smoke rolled in after midnight, not high, low, crawling like something ashamed of itself. Delora opened her front door before the dogs started howling. She didn't scream, didn't wake the neighbors, just stepped barefoot onto the porch and watched the glow rise behind the tree line, the preacher's house. She knew it before the second crack of timber. The bell at the church didn't ring. No one pulled it. No one dared. By the time others stirred, the roof had already folded in. A red flash, then black, only black. Clara showed up with her coat half on and shoes mismatched. She stood beside Delora without asking. Did you see it start? No. You hear anything? No. You look like you've been standing here a while. I have. You call the sheriff? No. You gonna? No. The flames snapped again, louder this time. Wood split like wet bone. Clara flinched. He was inside? Yes. You sure? I saw his car earlier. He never leaves it anywhere but home. Clara nodded slowly. Maybe he got out. Delora didn't look away. He didn't. The sheriff arrived 10 minutes later. Hat off, eyes tight. Anyone call this in? No, Delora said. He looked at her. You just watching it burn? Yes. You see who did it? No. You do it? No. You care to say anything that's not no? She blinked. He's not the first to die surrounded by scripture. He took a slow breath. What the hell does that mean? Delora stepped off the porch. Checked the mirror in the bedroom. What? You'll see. The fire was mostly down by the time he got close, still too hot to step inside, but the outer walls hadn't collapsed yet. He cupped his hands against the bedroom window, squinted through soot and glass. There it was. Ash on glass. A name. 4 letters. Nathan. He stumbled back. When he returned to the porch, Delora was still there. You think this is funny? No. You trying to scare people? I'm not the one who started the fire. But you knew. I didn't know. I felt. Clara spoke up. What's written in there? The sheriff didn't answer. Delora did. My husband's name. Clara looked sick. Why? Maybe he wanted to be remembered. Maybe it's a warning. The sheriff muttered. Delora turned to him. For who? He didn't answer. The next morning, the ashes were still warm. Folks walked wide circles around the property, whispering like they could wake the dead if they said it too loud. They found the preacher's body curled near the base of his own bed, hands burned, mouth open. No burns on the doorknobs, no signs of forced entry, just scripture, nailed to every wall, page after page, torn from his own Bible. Clara saw it first. These were nailed from the inside. The sheriff stared at the nails, long, driven deep, black at the heads. Why would he do that? Maybe he didn't. Doors were shut. Maybe someone else shut them. Then how'd they get out? They didn't. Back at her house, Delora swept the porch without looking down. The spade leaned against the steps, still dirty. A boy rode past on a rusted bike, slowed, looked at her too long. You starting fires now? He called. She stopped sweeping. Was it him? He asked. The preacher? She didn't respond. Someone said he touched girls in the choir. Delora narrowed her eyes. And did someone say, who said that? The boy shrugged. People talk. Then they better talk louder next time, before someone gets locked inside. He kicked off down the road, tires squealing. That evening, the sheriff came back. You say he deserved it? I didn't say anything. You knew he was hurting folks. I didn't say that either. You protecting someone? No. You warning someone? Delora leaned on the rail. What if I'm just remembering? Remembering what? All of it. He sighed. You always talk in riddles? Number just. Around liars. You think I lied to you? She met his eyes. I think you looked the other way too long." He walked down the steps, paused halfway. "You burn a preacher's house, folks are going to start asking why. They should have asked why he built it on lies in the first place. You're not the law, Delora. I never claimed to be. But you sure act like judgment." She picked up the broom again. Maybe judgment got tired of waiting. The fire marshal came next morning. Nothing left to inspect. Just melted glass, scorched books, warped nails. He said the same thing Clara did. Nailed from the inside. The sheriff nodded but said nothing. He watched the soot settle like snow across what was once a righteous man's home. Clara leaned close. "You think it was suicide?" "No." "Then who?" He didn't answer. Delora, back on her land, planted 3 birds in the tree by the fence. Paper, folded sharp. Script from old hymnals. Each had a single word written across the wings. Silenced. Buried. Heard. She tied them with twine and watched the wind not move them. Her hands stayed still. Her face calm. From the well behind her, something clicked once. Just once. She didn't turn. She whispered something. The wind listened, and then she started humming again. The same song, the same old hymn. Delora waited until the sun slid behind the steeple before stepping into the church. The lock on the back door had been broken for years. She moved quiet, careful, not sneaky, just like she belonged and always had. The sanctuary was empty, still thick with smoke from the preacher's fire. Hymnals lined the pews like no one dared open them. She stepped past the altar without looking up. The stairs to the attic creaked. Halfway up, she paused. Then she heard it, faint, mechanical, repeating. That same tune, slow, crooked, hummed like someone who never sang out loud. A reel-to-reel tucked behind old choir robes. Dust clung to the machine like skin. She turned the knob. The humming played again. Nathan. She didn't cry. She didn't touch the player, just sat in the dust, legs folded, listening to the past sing itself through rusted tape. A knock came behind her, light, small. She turned. The neighbor girl, same one from the schoolyard, holding a jar of peaches like an offering. "Miss Delora, why are you here? I saw you come in." "You shouldn't follow people. I brought these for you." Delora nodded. "Set them down." The girl did, but her eyes stayed on the machine. "Is that him?" "Yes." "He sounds sad." "He was." "Why'd you keep it?" "I didn't know it was here." The girl blinked. "Then why's it playing?" Delora didn't answer. The humming kept going. Endless. Wrong in places, like someone forgot the middle and guessed. The girl whispered, "What does it mean?" Delora's voice was barely there. "It means he never left." They sat in silence for a beat. Then, did he sing it when he was alive? He hummed it when he couldn't sleep, when he was scared, when he thought no one was listening. Was he scared a lot? Yes. Of what? Delora looked at the wood beams above them. Of what he'd done. The girl fidgeted. Did he do something bad? Yes. Did you forgive him? No. Did he ask you to? He didn't have time. Outside, the wind picked up. The steeple moaned. The reel clicked once, then stopped. Delora stood and turned it off. The silence after felt heavier than the tune. She picked up the reel. The dust left a print across her chest where she pressed it. The girl looked up. "You gonna take it home?" "No." "Why not?" "He already lives there." They walked out together. Delora didn't lock the door. The girl said, "Can I come by tomorrow?" "No." "Why?" "It's not safe." "Why not?" "Because sometimes the dead hum too loud." That night, Delora laid the reel on her porch. Didn't play it. Didn't touch it again. Just sat with it. Like it was a person. The sheriff drove by, slow, saw her in the dark. Didn't stop. Didn't wave. Just kept going. Inside her house, the tune leaked from somewhere. She checked the kitchen radio. Dead. Checked the old cassette player. Nothing inside. Still, the humming came. Muffled. Behind walls. Beneath floorboards. She pressed her ear to the floor. It got louder. She didn't move. Just whispered, "What do you want?" The humming paused, then returned. Slower now. She whispered, "I can't carry it all." The sound stopped. In the morning, the peaches sat untouched beside the reel. She buried both behind the barn, didn't mark the spot. No one saw her, except the wind. Clara knocked around noon. "You hear anything strange last night?" Delora said nothing. Because I did. Sounded like someone singing under my house. Delora nodded. Clara blinked. You know what I'm talking about? Yes. You gonna tell me what it means? No. I saw you go into the church. Yes. You find anything? No. Clara crossed her arms. You always lie like that? Only when the truth's too loud. I'm getting real tired of walking in circles around your grief. Delora looked her in the eye. Then stop walking. Clara stepped forward. People are scared. You know that? They should be. Of you. No. Of what then? Delora looked past her, toward the well. Clara followed her gaze. It's empty. Not anymore. The sheriff showed up an hour later, dirt on his boots, tension in his shoulders. I checked your well. Delora didn't answer. Didn't find anything. You weren't supposed to. You bury something out. There. Yes. What? Noise. That's not funny. Wasn't meant to be. He rubbed his forehead. I'm running out of patience. You ran out 5 years ago. He took a deep breath. You find anything in the church? She shook her head. I think you're holding something back. I think you're right. You want to tell me what it is? No. You afraid it'll change things? I know it will. He turned to leave, then stopped. Nathan ever hummed that song when he was alive? Yes. You know where he got it from? No. Preacher said it was older than the hymn book, said it was passed down. Delora stared. Then why did he hum it like it was a secret? The sheriff left without answering. That night, Delora hummed alone, but it didn't feel alone. Something hummed back. Lower, slower, older. She didn't stop. Neither did it. The sheriff found her in the cemetery, not hiding, not weeping, just kneeling in front of the one grave that never got a name. He didn't speak at first, just stood a few paces back, hat in hand like it might protect him. Then, you shouldn't be here. She didn't look at him. I know. You trying to stir something? No. You sure about that? She pressed her palm to the stone. She's buried wrong. She's buried quiet. She was never quiet. Leave it be, Delora. She looked at him now. You left it be. He stepped closer. That wasn't mine to fight. She was 16. She was your sister, not just mine. You don't know what happened. I know enough. He lowered his voice. Don't make this bigger than it needs to be. It's already big. You just don't want to look at it. Nothing good'll come from dragging up old hurt. Nothing good came from burying it either. He looked tired. What are you planning? Nothing. Then why the flowers? Because she never got any. He watched her for a while longer, then left. She didn't move, didn't speak, just sat with the stone until the sun broke through the trees. At town hall, the clerk saw her pass, saw the dirt on her knees, the bundle of wilting lilies in her arms. Those for your garden? He asked. No. He hesitated. You know the governor's boys up at the cabin again? She nodded once. Brought some company. I'm not surprised. You planning on visiting? No. You sure? Yes. The clerk didn't believe her. Neither did his wife, who'd seen Delora earlier walking up the ridge trail with a box under her arm. That night, the governor's son disappeared. No one saw him leave. No car drove off. His friends found the front door wide open, lights still on, food half warmed on the stove. One plate, one fork, one glass, untouched, a single glove left on the porch rail. The other never turned up. The sheriff arrived by dawn, found the guests too shaken to speak. He walked through the cabin slow, careful, didn't touch anything. In the bedroom, a folded slip lay on the pillow. Typed, one line. I don't remember her name, but she never forgot mine. He folded it quietly, tucked it in his coat. Back in town, Clara waited on his porch. You hear? Yes. They think she did it. I know. You gonna ask her? No. Why? He looked out at the trees. Because she already told me. At Delora's house, the lights were off, the curtains drawn, but smoke curled from the chimney and the spade sat clean by the porch. She opened the door before he knocked. You know why I'm here. She stepped aside. You thirsty? He shook his head. They sat in the front room. No fire, just warmth from the stove in back. A photo of her sister on the table. No frame, just curled edges. You went up there last night, he said. No, clerk says otherwise. He sees too much for someone who can't see what's in front of him. You leave a note? I don't write anymore. You clean up after? She didn't answer. You kill him? No. Then where is he? Gone. Gone where? Somewhere he can't hurt anyone. The sheriff leaned forward. That's not justice. It's more than she got. He's the governor's son. She was my sister. He rubbed his temples. This doesn't end here. I know. They'll come looking. I hope they do. You want war? I want silence. He stood. You think you're fixing something. I'm not fixing it. I'm finishing it. The sheriff stepped outside, paused at the steps. She told me once, he said, that she wished she could forget. She did forget. Number she remembered too much. He walked away. That evening, someone broke her window. Brick through glass. No note, no name, just silence. Delora swept it up like it was nothing. Next morning, she walked to the grave again. This time, she didn't bring flowers. She brought the glove, set it down like an offering, like a name. Clara stood watching from across the field. You think this makes it right? She asked. No. Then why do it? Because I couldn't watch him walk free again. You think she'd want this? Delora looked at the dirt. She asked me once if monsters looked like men. Clara didn't speak. Delora whispered, They do. The sheriff didn't return that night, but Delora knew he would. They always did. The wind rose. The well knocked. Just once. She didn't hum. She just listened and waited. The trucks pulled in just after dawn, unmarked, loud. 4 men stepped out, boots thick with creek mud, eyes sharper than locals. 2 dogs jumped down after them, sniffing everything. Delora stayed on the porch. They didn't look at her, not directly, just walked past her fence like it didn't mean anything. One of them pointed toward the well. That it? Another nodded. Matches the maps. You sure she didn't seal it? She's not stupid. She's something. The dogs barked once, then stopped, tails low, ears back. Delora leaned forward, resting her arms on her knees. The first man approached the porch. He didn't introduce himself. You live here? Yes. You own this land? Yes. We're conducting a search. I can see that. We've got reason to believe someone passed through here. Plenty do. Not like this one. She didn't answer. He gestured to the well. That covered? No. Still in use? No. He adjusted his belt. You mind if we look? She stood. Don't fall in. They approached slow, cautious. The dogs hung back. One of the men knelt beside the stone edge, shined a flashlight down. Nothing. Drop the mic. A rope was uncoiled, something with a mic and a speaker lowered into the dark. They all waited. One of them coughed. Another looked at Delora. You hear anything strange lately? Every day. From down there? No. Anyone come by? Yes. Who? You. The man cracked a smile. Cute. The speaker let out static. Then silence. Then a whisper. Faint. Ragged. Not words. Just a sound like breath caught behind teeth. The man holding the mic froze. Did you hear that? No. Another said. The first one held the mic tighter. It said my name. Delora tilted her head. The dogs began whining. The whisper came again. Sharper this time. The man stood fast. Pull it up. The rope snapped once, then slackened. Mike's gone. The others stepped back, guns half raised, not aimed, just scared. Delora walked over. They didn't stop her. She looked down into the well. It doesn't like microphones. The first man turned. What the hell's down there? Nothing. That wasn't nothing. It was memory. Of what? Of him. Who? Nathan. The man wiped sweat from his face. Your husband? Yes. He's dead. I know. Then why did I hear? Maybe because you were supposed to. They argued after that. Not with her. With each other. Jurisdiction. Authority. Whether to keep digging. Whether to call the sheriff. One wanted to leave. One didn't want to look weak. The third stared at the well like it owed him something. Delora sat back on the porch. The sun crawled higher. The shadows shrank. The dogs stayed behind the truck, shaking. The sheriff arrived just past noon. He stepped out slow. Said nothing. Just watched. The first man approached. She let us look. She didn't stop you? No. The sheriff looked at Delora. She nodded once. What did you find? Something spoke. The sheriff didn't blink. What did it say? My name. You sure? Positive. The sheriff walked to the well, looked down. Long. You see anything? No. You hear anything? Yes. What? My own thoughts. The men didn't laugh. He turned to Delora. You okay? Yes. You want them gone? Yes. He looked at the men. Pack up? One protested. We're not finished. Yes, you are. Who gave you? I'm not asking. They backed down. The dogs jumped in the truck fast, grateful. Before they drove off, one leaned out the window. If that thing speaks again, don't answer it. Delora said nothing. That night, she sat by the well, alone. She didn't hum. She didn't speak. She just dropped a single stone in. No echo, no splash. Just silence. The wind stirred. She whispered, You don't belong to them. No one replied. She smiled. They don't hear it right anyway. Behind her, the wind shifted again. And, far off, behind trees and silence and everything still breathing, a voice hummed the tune. Just once. Slow. Broken. Enough. She tore it open with a kitchen knife. The mattress. The one her mother left her. The one she never slept on. Kept in the spare room. Covered in plastic. Smelled like cedar and old secrets. She didn't plan it. Didn't even know why she was doing it. Her hands just moved. Slow. Focused. The fabric gave way with a soft scream. Inside, envelopes, dozens, all sealed, all yellowed, tucked into the lining like bones. She pulled them out one by one. No names on the front, but she didn't need names. The weight of them said enough. She opened the first. Her mother's handwriting. Stiff. Tight. Too neat. But the words weren't hers. I was 14 when it happened. Delora read the second. He said it was part of becoming a woman. The third. No one believed me, not even the sheriff. Her breath caught, hands trembling now. Each letter was from a woman. Different names. Same fear. Same 3 men. The preacher. The sheriff's brother. The governor's son. She dropped the last letter on the floor, sat down beside it, her palms pressed to the boards like they might cool the shaking. Then she stood, walked to the cupboard, pulled out the old hymnal, tore out the blank pages at the back. She started folding, one by one, delicate at first, then sharp. Wings, beaks, creases like scars, paper birds. She moved to the table, laid each letter inside a fold, tied them shut with red thread. She didn't cry, she hummed, a soft, broken line. The door creaked. Clara stepped inside without knocking. You okay? No. Clara looked down at the mess. What is this? My mother's mattress. Clara picked up a bird, held it like it might shatter. Are these? Yes. Who wrote them? Women. Clara unfolded one. Her face changed. I recognize this name. I figured you might. These are real? Delora nodded. Clara sat. You gonna burn them? No. Then what? I'm gonna show them. To who? Everyone. Clara held a bird tighter. You sure? Yes. They'll call you a liar. They already do. They'll say you're stirring up ghosts. Maybe I am. Clara whispered. Something shouldn't come back. Delora looked her in the eye. Some things never left. The sheriff arrived 2 hours later, stood in the doorway. You alone? No. He stepped in. What's all this? Letters. From who? Victims. Of what? You know. He looked around. That's a lot of birds. Too many. He stepped closer, picked one up. Didn't open it. These real? Yes. He stared at her. Where'd you get them? The mattress. He blinked. Your mother's? She nodded. He didn't speak for a moment. Then, you know what this means? Yes. You gonna make it public? Yes. He sighed. You sure that's smart? No. But you're doing it anyway? Yes. He looked down at the floor. You think your mother knew? She stitched them in. He nodded once, quiet. You believe them? She asked. I always did. Then why didn't you act? He looked up. Because I'm a coward. She didn't say anything. He set the bird down and left. That night, she carried the birds in a sack. To the church, to the tree by the old schoolhouse, to the fence post outside the sheriff's office. 1 bird each, pinned. Hungarian left to sway in the wind. No names. Just truth. The town woke to fluttering paper. Children touched the wings before parents yanked them down. But it was too late. The tune was already back in the air. Low. Thick. She didn't hum it this time. They did. The women, the ones who remembered, the ones who never said, the ones who now saw a mirror in paper wings. Clara joined her at the tree. You think they'll listen now? No. But you did it anyway. Yes. Clara stared at the birds. You want them punished. I want them seen. They'll fight back. They already are. From the porch, Delora watched as 3 cars passed her drive. Fast. Angry. She didn't move. Just kept folding. Another bird. Another truth. Tied in red. Hung in silence. She started at first light. No crowd. No noise. Just a hammer, a box of nails, and the birds. The memorial tree stood in the middle of town, like it forgot what it was supposed to remember. Bronze plaque at the base. Names carved in a circle, but never the names that mattered. Delora climbed the low branches, hung the first bird just above eye level, nailed it in by the wing, then the second, then the third, each bird folded sharp, letter sealed inside. No names on the outside, except the one that belonged. By the time the diner opened, she was halfway up the trunk. A boy stopped and stared. What are they? Stories. Whose? Women. He blinked. Are they dead? Most. What happened to them? No one listened. The boy stepped back, didn't ask more. By mid-morning, word had spread. Clara found her pinning the last bird. You know what you're doing? Yes. They'll tear them down. Then I'll make more. People are scared. They should be. Clara reached for a bird. You want me to read one? No. Why not? You'll cry. I've cried before. Not like this. Clara lowered her hand. Across the street, a group of men gathered, watching. One whispered something. Another spat. Delora climbed down. She didn't look at them. She didn't need to. The sheriff came after lunch. Didn't knock. Didn't call out. He stood at the tree, hands in pockets, hat off. He scanned the birds. Slow. Careful. Then he stopped. Midway up. Near the edge. His mouth moved before his body did. He reached up, pulled the nail gently, unfolded the wings, read the name, then the letter. His face drained. He looked over his shoulder. No one was near. He whispered, Mama. Delora stepped out from behind the diner wall. You didn't know. He turned, voice low. She never said. She tried. When? After Nathan died. He stared at the letter again. She wrote this? Yes. She said She said the truth. He folded the bird back up, hands shaking. I need to sit. Delora nodded. They sat on the curb. He held the bird like a confession. She never told me. She didn't think you'd believe her. I would have. Number, you wouldn't. He wiped his eyes. I thought I was protecting something. You were. Then why does it feel like I failed? Because you did. He nodded, then stood. You want me to take them down? No. You sure? Yes. They'll try. I know. That night, the town stayed quiet. Too quiet. Delora didn't sleep. She sat by the window. Watched the tree. Watched the street. Watched the dark. At 2:14 a.m., movement. 2 figures. Hooded. Quick. One carried a can. The other, a match. They reached the base. Poured. Literature. The flame caught fast. Too fast. Delora was already moving. By the time she got outside, Clara was there too, holding a pail of water. Kitchen sink, she said. They ran. They threw water. They stomped. They beat at the base with rags. It smoked, smoldered, stopped. The birds were mostly safe. A few scorched. One gone. Delora looked around. The figures were gone. Did you see them? Clara asked. No. You know who it was? Yes. Clara sat down on the curb, panting. They're gonna try again. I know. You gonna keep hanging them? Yes. The sheriff arrived 10 minutes later, eyes red, shirt half-buttoned. He saw the smoke, saw the tree, saw the missing bird. His jaw clenched. Which one burned? Delora showed him the nail. He read the name etched into the blackened edge. She was 17. I know. She went missing in 72. Yes. They said she ran off with a boy. She didn't. He stared at the nail a long time, then hammered it back in. Empty. Leave it there, he said. Delora nodded. He turned to the shadows. Next time, I shoot. No one answered, but someone heard, and someone ran, and someone, somewhere, whispered a hymn too low for words. She was walking home from the diner when they grabbed her. 3 of them. No names, no warning. Just hands in the dark and a voice that said, "You talk too much." They dragged her behind the grain silo. Gravel cut her knees. The cold smelled like rust and corn rot. One held her down. One covered her mouth. The third spoke. "You think paper birds make you strong?" She didn't answer. "You think the town needs your damn stories?" Still silent. "You should have left this alone." He grabbed her hand. She clenched her jaw. Crack. First finger, no scream. "You gonna stop now?" Crack. Second, still no sound. The man swore under his breath. She looked him in the eye. "Is that all?" He raised his hand again. A dog barked in the distance. They froze. A light flicked on near the barn road. The men ran. She didn't. She stayed on the ground until the cold climbed too far up her back. Then she stood, walked home, cradled her fingers in her coat like something precious and broken, didn't cry, didn't knock on anyone's door. She cleaned the blood off with salt and water, wrapped the fingers tight, hummed a note that never made it past her throat. Next morning, the church didn't open. The sheriff got the call just after sunrise. No one can get in. He arrived with Clara. They found the doors barred from the inside. He pried one open with a crowbar. What they saw stopped them both. 3 men, kneeling in front of the altar, ropes at the ankles, eyes wide, mouths sewn shut, black thread, thick, careful, each stitch clean. No blood, no sound, just silence and a smell like something old and buried. Clara stepped back, hand to her mouth. Who would? The sheriff already knew. He looked at the marks on the floor, drag lines, barefoot prints, mud and grain dust. He followed them outside. They ended in the gravel behind the silo. He turned to Clara. "Call Doc. Are they dead?" "No." "Who are they?" He named them one by one. Clara went pale. "They're the ones." "Yes." "You think she—" She didn't scream. Clara whispered, "Good." The sheriff knocked on Delora's door an hour later. She answered with her injured hand tucked in her coat. He didn't mention it. "You know why I'm here?" "Yes." "You gonna deny it?" "No." "You want me to ask?" "No." "You want me to arrest you?" "Do you want to?" He looked at the porch boards. "No." "Then don't." "They could press charges." "They won't." "You sure?" "They're not gonna talk." He exhaled. "How'd you do it?" She didn't answer. He tried again. "How'd you get them in there?" She stepped aside, letting him see the coat hanging near the door. A church key on a string. His eyes narrowed. "From the preacher's pocket?" "Before the fire." He nodded. "They hurt you bad." She lifted her hand. 2 fingers bent wrong. He swallowed. "They'll try again." "No, they won't." "Why not?" They tasted silence. The sheriff rubbed his temple. "You want me to lie?" "No." "You want me to protect you?" "No." "Then what do you want?" Delora looked at the tree outside, the birds still hanging, one new one fluttering. "To be done." He stepped off the porch, paused. "You gonna keep going?" "Yes." "They'll hate you for it." "They already do." He nodded once. "I won't stop you," he said. "I know." That night, Delora burned the blood-stained rag she wrapped her hand in. She watched the flames eat the thread like it was hungry for more. Outside, the town stayed quiet. Too quiet. The church doors stayed shut. The altar stained with thread and fear. And, somewhere in the stillness between the hymn and the wind, someone hummed a tune they didn't know they knew. It rained for the first time in weeks. Not a storm. No thunder. Just steady, quiet rain. The kind that soaks everything without warning. Delora stepped out barefoot, let the water run down her arms into her sleeves. She didn't flinch, didn't rush back inside. She walked slow across the yard, toward the well. The ground was soft now, giving. The stone around the well slick with moss and age. She sat, laid her hands on the rim, closed her eyes, whispered a name, then another, each one careful, small, like she was afraid of saying them wrong. The rain fell harder, the well bubbled, not like overflow, like breath, like something waking up. She leaned forward, eyes open now. "You hear me?" The water rippled. "You remember?" More ripples, slow circles. She pulled a folded bird from her coat, unthreaded it, opened the letter. It was Nathan's, one of the first, hidden deep in the mattress. The ink faded. "I never meant to be like him," it read, but it was already inside me, like a sickness. She folded it again, tighter this time, held it over the well. "You want it back?" No answer. She let it go. The paper drifted, then vanished. She hummed. Low, slow, off-key. The same tune. The one he used to hum when he thought she was sleeping. The rain softened. The bubbles stopped. She kept humming. Behind her, gravel shifted. She didn't turn. The sheriff stepped into view. He didn't speak, just stood there, soaked, watching. She finished the tune. Her voice cracked on the last note, then silence. He cleared his throat. Did it answer? She didn't look up. It listened. That enough? It has to be. He stepped closer. You dropped the last one? Yes. You forgive him? No. You want him back? No. Then why sing? Because he asked me to. The sheriff squinted. When? The night before he died. You never said that. I never needed to. He walked to the edge of the well, looked down. Water moved again, just a flicker, just once. You see that? Yes. What was it? Memory. Yours or his? Does it matter? He stepped back. She stood, her knees stiff, fingers still swollen. You came to arrest me? No. Then why are you here? He looked at her coat, at her face. Because you're the only one left who knows what to say. She wiped her hands on her dress. Then listen. She walked past him, back toward the house. The sheriff stayed behind, staring into the well, rain still falling. He looked again. Something moved, a shadow, a shape. It twisted just under the surface. He stepped closer. The water cleared for a breath, and there it was, a face, eyes open, not drowning, not gasping, just waiting. Then it vanished. He backed away, breath caught, looked toward the house. Delora was already gone, inside, dry now, humming. Quiet. The sheriff sat on the porch steps, pulled off his boots, let the rain soak his socks. He whispered a name, his mother's, then another, and the well behind him listened. She met him at the chapel steps, rain still clinging to her coat, fingers wrapped in cloth. He didn't speak. She pointed, behind the chapel, past the broken fence, where the trees had started curling back in. He didn't ask. He grabbed a shovel from the truck, walked with her, stopped where she stopped. You sure? Yes. How deep? Not far. He sank the blade in. The dirt was soft, like it had waited. No rocks, no roots, just silence. She stood behind him, hands in her pockets, watching. 3 feet down, the shovel hit something. He knelt, pulled it out with bare hands. A badge, rust-worn, still shaped. His breath caught. Whose? My father's. He wiped it clean, turned it in his palm. This was buried? Yes. He didn't speak, kept digging. Next, a small shoe. Faded blue, cracked leather. His fingers trembled. Child? Yes. He kept going. A glint in the mud. A ring. Gold. A seal. The governor's crest. He sat back. Didn't speak. Didn't move. Delora crouched beside him. You understand now? He nodded. You remember that summer? I remember the funeral. You remember the sheriff before you? Barely. He found her. Then he buried this. Why? Because he couldn't bury the rest. The sheriff stared at the ring. That boy never came back. No. You think this is justice? No. You think it's over? No. He looked at her. Eyes red. Empty. You want me to take this in? No. You want me to report it? No. Then what? I want you to know. He placed the badge in her hand. You shouldn't carry this. I already do. He looked down at the hole. You think the well made you do this? No. Then what did? The silence. He wiped his hands on his jeans. Stood. Someone'll find this. I hope so. They'll dig more. They should. He took one step back, then another. You didn't bury it, Delora. No. But you knew. Yes. He didn't ask how. He walked to the truck, opened the passenger door, pulled out his hat, walked back to her porch, set it on the step, turned, left. She picked up the hat, set it on the rail, watched the road until he disappeared behind the trees. Inside, she placed the badge beside the folded birds, lit a single candle, Let it burn. The chapel bell rang once. No wind, no hands. Just the sound. She didn't flinch. Outside, rain began again. The dirt at the chapel's edge shifted. Software opened, took a breath, and waited. Dusk came soft. No wind, no birds, just stillness. Delora walked barefoot to the well. The dirt was cold, damp from the rain. She didn't bring a lamp, didn't need one. She sat at the edge, pressed both hands to the stone rim, closed her eyes. Then she began to hum. Slow, low. Cracked at first. She paused, took a breath, started again. The same hymn. Her husband's. The same one he hummed the night the barn went silent. The same one buried in the attic tape. The one the girl said sounded sad. But now it didn't sound sad. It sounded full. Halfway through the first verse, another voice joined. Not loud, not ghostly. Just present, male, familiar, Nathan. Delora didn't flinch. She kept humming. A second voice layered in. High, fragile. Her sister's. Then more. Soft harmonies, woven and weightless. Dozens. The dead, the unheard, the buried. She opened her mouth, sang the words. The ones she never sang aloud. This time, her voice held. The tune carried across the yard, down the field, up the chapel steps, into the windows of the diner, into the kitchen where Clara sat drying dishes. Clara stopped, listened, didn't speak, didn't move. At the old station, the sheriff's desk chair creaked. He looked up. No papers in hand, no badge on his chest, just the sound. He stepped outside, hat in hand, faced the well. She was still singing, and now the well sang back. Not just echo, not memory. Reunion. A low thrum from the stone. Not language, just harmony. Delora didn't cry, didn't smile. She just kept singing. Behind her, footsteps. Slow, quiet. Clara. She didn't say anything, just sat beside her. Then the sheriff. He didn't ask. He knelt. Then the girl with the tin lunchbox. Then the boy who once chased the chicken. Then Merle from the bakery. Then the clerk and his wife. One by one they came. Nobody spoke. Nobody whispered. They just listened. She sang the second verse. This one wasn't Nathan's. It was her mother's. Buried deep. Quiet for years. The words came soft, familiar. The wind picked up, moved the paper birds still hanging in the tree. Their wings rustled like breathing. The birds didn't fall. They swayed. Clara closed her eyes. The sheriff lowered his head. Even the governor, standing behind tinted glass in the black car parked up the ridge, heard it and didn't speak, didn't run. Delora's voice wavered on the third verse, but the well caught her, held her, sang with her. Not louder, just steady, a hum through the ground, through bone. A sound older than the chapel, older than the fields. She sang the final note. Let it fade. Didn't rush it, didn't hold on. Just let it go. Silence followed, the kind that's earned. She stood, turned to the crowd. No one clapped, no one cried. They just stood, still, held by what they'd heard. She looked at Clara. Did you hear it? Clara nodded. What did it say? Clara wiped her face. That we weren't alone. Delora looked to the sheriff. He swallowed. It said thank you. She nodded, then turned back to the well, placed one hand on the rim. One more, she whispered. Then she hummed the tune once more. Just once. This time, the well didn't echo. It didn't need to. It had said what it came to say, and the town finally had listened. And the town finally had listened. No one moved at first. Feet heavy, eyes low. The sound still inside them, like it hadn't finished echoing yet. Delora sat back down at the well. Her shoulders shook, but not from crying. Just release. Clara touched her arm. You done? Delora shook her head. Number just resting. The sheriff cleared his throat. They'll ask what happened here tonight. Then tell them. What do I say? That you heard it too. He looked at the well. I'm not sure I did. You did. The girl with the lunchbox stepped forward. I heard my brother. Her mother pulled her back. Don't say that. But it was him, the girl insisted. Delora met her eyes. Yes, it was. The sheriff turned to the crowd. Anyone else? A hand went up. Merle, the baker. My wife. She died last winter. I heard her hum. Another voice. The clerk's wife. My mother. Then more. Whispers spreading like brush fire. Names. Soft. Shaking. One after another. Clara gripped Delora's hand. "You see what you did?" Delora whispered, "I only opened the mouth." The sheriff rubbed his jaw. "And what happens when it doesn't close again?" Delora's eyes didn't leave the well. "Then we keep listening." The crowd slowly thinned. One by one, folks drifted home. No arguments, no shouts. Just silence, like they owed it. When only 3 remained, Clara, the sheriff, and Delora, the air felt heavy again. Clara broke it. "Do you think it's done?" "No." Delora said. "Then what's next?" Delora looked at the sheriff. "You know." He shifted his weight. "They'll want blood." "They've already had it." "You know what I mean. The governor, his people. They'll come down here harder than before." "Let them." "You think the well can stop them?" "Number but truth can." He sighed. Truth never stopped a bullet. She finally looked at him. Neither does silence. He didn't argue. Clara whispered, "I'm scared." Dolores squeezed her hand. "Good. That means you're still alive." Later that night, the sheriff returned alone. The town had gone quiet again, but he couldn't sleep. His boots carried him back to the well. Delora was still there, sitting like she hadn't moved. "You waiting?" he asked. "Yes." "For what?" "The rest of them." He came closer. "You think there's more?" "There's always more." He sat beside her, hat off, resting in his lap. "When I was a boy, I used to throw rocks in this well. Thought it was endless." "It is." "You think it's hell down there?" "Number worse." "What's worse than hell?" "Memory." He stared at the dark. "I don't know if I can carry this." "You don't have to. Just don't bury it again." He nodded slowly. "You gonna keep singing?" "Yes." "Till when?" "Till they're all heard." "And after that?" She didn't answer. At dawn, people gathered again, not by command, not by law, just by pull. The tree still held its birds. The charred one still nailed empty. The others swayed like they'd been awake all night. Delora walked past them, straight to the well. No hesitation. The sheriff followed, hat still in his hand. Clara, too. Eyes swollen from no sleep. Dolores stood at the rim, closed her eyes, hummed once. The crowd hushed. This time the voices came faster, louder. The well sang back before she even finished the first line. Her sister's voice clearer than before. Nathan's too. Then others. Dozens. Hundreds. The sheriff staggered back a step. His hands shook. "What are they saying?" Clara asked. Delora listened. "They're saying names." "Whose?" "Ours." The sheriff pressed a hand to his chest. "I heard mine." Delora nodded. "We all will." The crowd shifted. Fear cut the silence. A man shouted, "Shut it up!" Another, "It's not natural." Delora turned. "Neither was what they did to us." The crowd stilled again. No one shouted after that. She kept humming. The voices rose, filled every space, every chest, every hidden place where silence had lived too long. The sheriff dropped to his knees. He set the hat down on the dirt. He whispered, "I can't wear it anymore." Delora looked at him. "You don't need to." Clara touched his shoulder. "Then who's going to keep us safe?" He stared into the well. Them. By sunset, the town was different. Not healed, not fixed, just different. Folks didn't whisper. They didn't look away. They looked at the tree, at the birds, at the well. And when Delora sat again to hum, no one hid. No one turned their back. No one covered their ears. The tune spread. Not perfect, not pretty, but steady. One by one, the town joined in. Even those who had once spat her name, even those who'd thrown the brick, they sang. And the well sang back. Not as echo, not as memory, but as answer. That night, Delora walked home with Clara. The sheriff trailed behind. Clara whispered, "Did you feel it?" "Yes." "What was it?" "Reunion." "Is it over now?" Delora shook her head. It's beginning." The sheriff caught up. "And where does it end?" She looked at him. "When no one's left in silence." He nodded, didn't argue. The night was heavy but not empty. The town slept uneasy, but not alone. And for the first time in years, the wind carried more than dust. It carried song.